is a woman. These are her breasts.
You might not know this, but kids' movies are movies made for kids by adults. Adults who sometimes use adult jokes that go over kids' heads and straight into their impressionable hearts. Take dirty old Dr. Seuss, who couldn't have intended for there to be hidden messages in his classic Christmas tale, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, but someone at Universal Studios made sure the Who's of Whoville ho-ho-hoed themselves into the Christmas spirit. During a flashback into the Grinch's childhood, we see a baby Grinch descending upon Whoville in a basket. That's how babies are delivered to their parents in this world. So far, so prude. But he's descending on a holiday party which seems all too innocent, but it's actually a full-blown sex party. Baby Grinch, who really should get together with Baby Yoda sometime, witnesses a bunch of adult Who's gallivanting around putting keys into a fishbowl. Seems innocent enough, but turns out that it's in reference to an old-fashioned swingers party known as key parties. Referenced as early as 1965, everyone drops house keys in a bowl, takes one out, and you go home with whom those keys might belong. Even if it's not your spouse. Especially if it's not your spouse. This is snuck into this film in the weirdest way. First off, I guess babies aren't created in the same way we do it here on Earth, which is all the more important when considering who's love to swing. Just stick with me here for a second. Because if parents don't have to have sex to have their kids, maybe swingers parties are just the norm in Whoville. Whose wife is this? Doesn't matter. It's the season of giving, after all. Speaking of stealing other people's wives, remember when Lotso, the Lotso Huggin' Bear, lived up to his name by getting all cozy with Mrs. Potato Head?
Well, here's the thing, sweet potato.
Yeah, he ends up stealing her mouth, which sounds as ridiculous as it comes out of my mouth, but such is the folly of being a potato head. Mr. Potato Head immediately replies that
no one takes my wife's mouth, except me. Give it back, you furry air freshener.
He's definitely talking about blowjobs. Brings the meaning of potato head to a whole new level. And on a whole other level, Lotso is full of innuendos. I mean, Lotso, the Lotso Huggin' Bear? Come on. Fuzzy Wuzzy was a pimp. Or some kind of sex toy trafficker? You don't believe me? You think this is a joke? He even has a pimp cane to boot. Not to mention that he is covered in pink fur. Now, I don't want to stereotype, but I've heard pimps love to wear colorful furs. Intimidating teddy bear for the win. And nothing is more intimidating than an air conditioner mocking a vacuum with a blowjob joke. In The Brave Little Toaster, the big ol' vacuum Kirby takes a stand to protect his brave little toaster friend when the AC is on the fritz. But the AC keeps it cool and only has this to say.
Kirby, what are you gonna do, suck me to death?
Yeah. Suck me to death? That's barely an innuendo right there. I guess the air conditioner blows and the vacuum sucks, but I might be looking too far into that. And I think most vacuums would be pretty offended by this joke. But for most of us kids out there, this went right over our heads. A little less obtuse is this golden example in The Road to El Dorado, when Shell literally gets on her knees for Tulio. And not sure how this got past whoever rates films or greenlights scripts, but this isn't even a hidden joke. She's just probably, most likely, doing something physical with Tulio, which, as you can see by his face, is pleasing him so much that his eyes roll into the back of his head. Oh, and later in the scene when they get caught by a high priest who may or may not be wearing racist makeup, she comes up for air right where we left her, adjusting Tulio's belt buckle, of course. Nothing wrong with that. Fictional 16th century explorers ought to keep their pants on, especially in a flick made for children. Grab a little bit of popcorn, get some candy, and a little bit of carbonation, and we'll see you next time.
Now come on!